everyone, I am Bets Golden. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, if you know me, you know that it took me a while to buy the MISTI, and I don't say that proudly. I'm actually really ashamed of myself and kind of embarrassed because this is a awesome tool. It's a platform. Basically, what you do, if you're not familiar with how this works, is you place a stamp here and then you stamp the image over here. And it's really great for multiple stamping, layered stamping. If your image doesn't get entirely stamped, it's not a big deal. You just hit it again and you're good to go. Well, when I first learned about this was back in 2017 in Creativation, and I really, really liked it. However, I was super naive of how things worked at the time in the industry. And so I found something that was almost identical at Hobby Lobby for way cheaper. I think that this was $60, and the thing I found at Hobby Lobby was for $20. And so I'm like, well, geez, I'm just going to get that. So I did get it, used it for years, showcased it on YouTube on my videos, not thinking anything of it. And then I started to find out the backstory on MISTI, and it really started to bother me that I was using that cheaper one, and the quality on it was a little bit was inferior as well. Like these latches or these hinges were coming apart, and it would move slightly when I would lay things out. And just, you know, I'm all about small business and integrity, and I'm like, why am I using something that clearly was stolen from this company? And my platform that I was using actually ended up having to pull it because they got a patent on theirs, which is rightfully so. The quality on this is superior. I'm really glad that I spent the money, but what's so funny is I bought it, and literally a couple months after I bought it, they came out with version 2. So I ended up buying both because I love mine, and I figured, hey, you know what? I can use 2 oftentimes. And so I'm going to show you the different features of these. So we're just going to compare side by side. This is the original. This is the new one. And I do have a link provided down below if you're interested in either of these. I think that they only have the new one now up. I didn't find the original there. However, if you found the original, you may be cool to just stay with it for a while, you know? You don't necessarily need another platform. But it's interesting to see the differences. I didn't know how they could improve upon it, but they did. So before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I certainly hope that you do so. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I love to interact with you guys. And if you know of anyone that is contemplating getting the MISTI, want to know what the MISTI is about, please share this with them. Hopefully it'll help them make a good decision on what they want to do. All right, so the first visual difference is the grid on the top here. The original MISTI has a white grid, and this one has a dark grid. And I'm not quite sure if that's because when you put the paper in, we'll see, the new MISTI, if you can see the grid better. Not really. Let's see if this one. So yeah, they both kind of look the same on top of the paper, I think. So difference there is that the original has a white, this one is more of a black. Moving on, the hinges is another big difference here. These hinges, I have noticed, are plastic, and they do allow over time for a little bit of a wiggle room on this, so it can create a shadow stamp, meaning that if I stamp something, it looks a little off and I go back to stamp it again, this could have loosened some, and it could create a little bit of an off image. I have not had that happen yet. However, I have heard of that happening. They also do tend to, from what I understand, fall apart, but mine is relatively, I mean, I use it a lot, and this is still in really good shape. So the hinges on this one, though, are a nice metal. And something else I noticed is when I lift this up, it kind of falls. When I lift this up, it actually will hold. So that's kind of interesting. So this just seems like it's a little bit more sturdy. I don't think these hinges are going to fall apart. Also, there's no allowance there for it to create shadow images. It's going to pop down properly each time, if that makes any sense. All right, so hinges are different, top's a little bit different. Let's move on to the ruler. All right, so I went ahead and did a teal sticker. They offered this through My Sweet Petunia, and basically this is covering up a pink ruler. This one is etched. I love the etch. That means it's not going to rub off. So really, really nice. I think it looks better. Whenever you have an image that's not etched or stamped on, it can look kind of cheap from time to time over how it gets worn. So that is something that I really like about the new one versus the old one. All right, and then the magnets. Now I have over here, these magnets, I think it came with one and then I bought one. But as you can tell, the magnetic field is strong, but there's nowhere really to put these. So if you're stamping, you have to put one off if you're only using one. Whereas this one, there's a nice little home for your magnet on over here. So there's actually a place for it, which I really love that feature of this. So there's a home for your magnet. Let me move these off so we can take a look at, which is awesome because I don't have to move this one off. Take a look at the inside foam pad that it comes is relatively the same. It's the same foam pad. Let's see how well it fits in here. Fits about the same. So yeah, no difference there. Size is exactly the same. If you're having a problem with your foam pad moving around, sometimes that happens too. I know a lot of times when I go to put a stamp down, I always make sure that I shift the foam pad and kind of slide it down. I do that with each stamp. But if you don't do that or you happen to forget, what you can do just to alleviate that, I learned this from Simon Hurley, is you just take some purple tape and you just make some little tape rings. So you basically do this. All right, peel it off, pop it down on the back, lay it down, and then you will not have your foam pad moving. So that's a good tip for either or of these. So let's take a look down here. This one has a darker pink on it, I've noticed, without the foam pad in. This one's a little bit lighter. I prefer this one because I can see it better. So, yeah. So I definitely like the white on this, the white grid on the top, and the darker pink on the bottom because I can see it better. And basically, you don't use a foam pad if you're using a rubber cling stamp on your MISTI. This is for your clear acrylic stamp, so you can be able to see through that. All right. So moving along, one thing I did notice that I super love about this one is there's a little bit of an overhang here and a nice area to lift it up. This one can be a little bit cumbersome in the sense that there's nothing to lift it up. You kind of got to slip your finger under there and get it. And this one, super easy. There's that overage right here and it just comes right up. So there's a spot there for that. So that is the differences between the MISTIs, the old version and the 2.0, I think this one is called. Personally, I'm going to still use both. Obviously, if I was not, sorry about that, if I was not a content creator and designer, I probably would not have gotten the new one, to be real with you. This one would have served my needs just fine as a hobbyist, but since I do work in the industry and I do stamp quite a bit, I felt that it was important because this is, for me, this is a must-have tool. So I wanted to have the most up-to-date version of it on my videos. If you're in the field for a MISTI, or if you want a second MISTI, because sometimes that's kind of cool to do if you're doing like a mass card making session, is you can, you know, and it requires multiple layers. You can do one layer here, second layer here, and boom, and, you know, really shuffle them through quickly. I often do use 2 MISTIs at a time. So I would recommend this one. If you're with this, this is good. Again, just my personal observation, the thing that I like better about the original, obviously, is the white grid as well as the bright grid underneath. I think it's more vibrant. So that's what I like about this one. What I like about this one, I like the hinges. I like that there is a place for my magnet. I love the etch here, and I really appreciate the fact that there is a place for me to lift it, and it holds like this. It holds. So I really, really like that. So if I didn't have either and I had to purchase one, I would go with the new one. This grid is not a deal breaker for me by any means. It's just my personal preference. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video useful and helpful. If you have any questions about the MISTI, please leave them down below. If you would like to see how to use the MISTI, let me know. I haven't put that out because I'm not real sure, you guys, what my demographic is. If you guys are real experienced stampers and you don't need to know how to use this, or if I have some new people here who would like to learn how to use the stamp platform and the benefits, let me know down below. I certainly would appreciate it. And I will try to make sure that I get you what you need and want on the videos. I always like your suggestions. I do recommend buying a separate bar, though, because I always need 2, it seems. So I definitely recommend 2 bars, if nothing. If anything, always have 2 bars. All right, I'm going to sign off. Hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, I'm Bets Golden. Happy crafting.